She's a Ship alumni, a mother, an athlete, and now a history maker. I have the privilege to be chatting with Neely Gracie, who is now the third woman in history to win the Disney Princess Half Marathon and the Disney 10K. Neely, thank you so much for joining us here. Tell us, what was your time at Ship like? You know, how did it prepare you? How did it prepare you for such a seasoned career?
So I first started running in eighth grade. So I've been doing this for 19 years. I'm 32 now, and I guess originally I started because I like set some personal goals for myself. And then I kind of caught the running bug, and from that point on, just wanted to like continue to see like what was possible and what I was capable of doing. And so that kind of led to a very successful high school career. And during those years, I really found myself as a runner. I met my now husband, and we were on the team together, and he was a big supporter. My experience at Shippensburg was really good, and I set it up that way because I knew I was very familiar. Like, it was my hometown. My dad was the coach, and so I was just really familiar with, everything with the team, with my dad's philosophies, because he had coached me all through high school. And so I knew that that would give me the best shot at continuing on and having a long career. And so far, that's been true.
What was the mindset going into something like this? You know, especially after you ran a 10K the day before, I feel like it might have been a little intimidating.
Well, I wanted to make sure that I was able to recover in between the races. So the races started at 5 a.m. So I had to be up at 2 a.m. for each of them, which was kind of crazy. So that was the earliest I've ever had to wake up for a race before. So I think the biggest thing was I took the first like 5K of the half marathon very conservatively, recognizing that my legs were a little bit fatigued from the day before. And so making sure that I didn't rush into it or push too hard too soon was really important.
Any big plans moving forward from here?
So back in December, I qualified for the Olympic trials. So those are actually held in Orlando next February. So I'll be back in Orlando for that race. But in the meantime, I'm going to focus more on like 10Ks and half marathons this spring. So I have one in April, one in May, and one in June. And then the end of June, I'm actually planning to chase down the stroller mile world record. So that's kind of my spring plans. And then from there, I'll prep for the Olympic trials in Orlando in February.
All right, Neely, one more question here for you. What's your favorite Disney movie?
So my favorite film is Beauty and the Beast. That was always my favorite growing up. I think Belle is a very strong character. I really always admired how brave she was, and she had a really kind heart. So she was one of my favorites. And the princess weekend, each race was a different princess. And the 10K was Belle. So I dressed up as Belle, and I wore a yellow tutu and like yellow and red ribbon in my hair. And so that was my first race ever in a tutu. And it won't be my last. It was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. And if you want to keep up with Neely's journey, you can find her at Neely S. Gracie on Instagram. Now, let's send it back over to Haley and Bailey at the desk to close us out. While the mall around it has seen foot traffic dwindle over the years, the AMC Theater has been a constant for moviegoers young and old in the Cumberland County area. Unfortunately, the theater is closing its doors after nearly 40 years. When the Chambersburg Mall opened in 1982, it was a popular shopping location as well as hangout spot for the Cumberland County area. The movie theater started showtimes in 1984.
Current assistant manager Joel Streit has been working for the theater before it was an AMC. When he first started, it was known as the Carmike Cinemas.
Of course, before it was a Carmike Cinemas, it was opened in '84 as a Manos Theaters. Became Carmike, then later became AMC.
He showed us around the projection booth, antiques, and even filled us in on some of the theater's iconic moments.
So Kevin Bacon visited this mall, and when Kevin came in, supposedly to buy a pair of jeans he needed because he had relatives in Carlisle, just north of us, and asked why Tremors wasn't playing. We may have had it at another theater in town, but we just didn't book it, and that kind of, was just funny. He had stopped by, and we disappointed him by not having his summer blockbuster movie, because Kevin Bacon was pretty big by that time in 1990.
AMC bought the theater in 2017, and despite making it through the pandemic, the theater chain still had its struggles. Now with blockbusters like the Super Mario Bros. Movie and Dungeons & Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves, the Chambersburg AMC will take a bow after all showings have ended on Sunday, April 16th. However, Streit remains hopeful a new theater will make its way to the county.
No, it's a lot of memories here. From emergencies and incidences and parties and just mall events. It's been pivotal to the town here, and to not have a theater is just a crime.
Currently, as it stands, theater owners have not yet indicated whether or not they plan on relocating the theater at this time. So for avid moviegoers like myself, the nearest theaters now for anyone in the Shippensburg or Chambersburg area are going to be in Carlisle or in Gettysburg. For SUTV News, I'm Adam Beam. As the semester draws closer to the end, the biggest concern for many students is their well-being and mental health. So events like the annual Wellness Fair are a great way for students to practice some good old-fashioned self-care.
Wellness is about overall health. It's not just your physical health, it's your mental, your spiritual, your physical health, just all combined. So it's important for students to explore all those areas, and that's what the Wellness Fair offers.
The event brought out campus resources like the Page Center and Counseling Center, as well as local establishments like Planet Fitness. Here's some of what they had to offer.
Today we're this particular table, we're checking cholesterol, we're doing finger sticks, we get results back in a couple of minutes. We can answer any questions.
So this is grip strength over here. Hopefully I don't embarrass myself on air, but we're gonna find out here quick.
And squeeze. As hard as you can. Squeeze, 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 squeeze.
I'm trying.
All right, release. You got it. 121, which he was 100. A little under the mean. A little under.
Below average.
We just go to nursing homes, schools. We do a READS program that the kids have a hard time pronouncing words or have a hard time reading with confidence. They just read out loud. And to the dogs don't make fun of them. So it's a good program to build confidence in the kids reading.
Students also had chances to win door prizes, receive some free massages and acupuncture, but easily the favorite of the event was all the four-legged therapy friends who came to cheer us all up. Well, clearly this close to finals week is more important than ever to focus on your mental health. For SUTV News, I'm Adam Beam. This is my buddy Reese here. Back to you all at the desk. Student groups are in shock over the recent approval of the 2023-2024 SUSI budget. The reason? Every student group has seen cuts and their operating budgets shrink from this current academic year. From athletics to performing arts, groups saw budgets sliced, a move that SGA feels was a necessary action. However, people like Chase Slanker, who formerly served as the Vice President of Finances for the organization, thinks otherwise.
The Budget and Finance Committee was actually able to raise the activity fee this year, and the committee ultimately was debating what to do if they raised the fee, where that extra new money or revenue would come from, and apparently they couldn't reach a decision on where that went to, so they decided not to just take the revenue anyway.
Already, student groups have had to start considering their options for the coming fall semester, cutting trips and rationing for the bare essentials. Here's what some student leaders had to say.
The main issue that we have is because we do a really good job fundraising. So if we're already coming to those maximum efforts for fundraising, the only thing we can do is try to change our budget reports and stuff like that and try to minimize how much we spend.
There are over 100 plus members in our marching band. Things like traveling aren't cheap for everyone. Not everyone would be able to go out there with the cuts on their own and be able to provide the funds that they would need in order to go with the band to these places.
The most prominent of cuts came for student media. WSYC, The Slate, PRSSA, and even us here at SUTV saw budget cuts slashed by 46% overall. But according to the administration, the cutting of the Cumberland yearbook would only make the cuts equal out to about 28%, or $19,000 in total.
With all that student media does for the campus community, the budget cut of 46% felt like a slap in the face. And with the budget cuts that we just had, we're not going to be able to do as much as we have been in past years, and that really hurts the future of the organization.
SUTV reached out to President Patterson in regards to the recent budget cuts. In his official statement to us, the president encourages student groups to, quote, work together, collaborate, and maximize their funding. He also went on to say that SUSI will also provide some additional guidance to funded groups in the coming weeks on appropriate ways to supplement their budgets, such as approved student fundraising initiatives. While the vote was not unanimous, SGA and the administration still approved the budget for the coming year. So it's most likely student groups will not see the full extent of what these budgets will entail until the start of the fall semester. For SUTV News, I'm Adam Beam. 6 people, 3 of them children, have lost their lives in only the latest senseless act of violence to shake our country. At 10:13 a.m., the shooter, now identified as 28-year-old Audrey Hale, arrived at the school and shot her way in through a glass side door. In the ensuing 14 minutes, 3 students and 3 adult faculty members were killed and several more were injured before Hale was killed in a shootout with police. The victims were identified as Evelyn D. Eckhouse, Hallie Scruggs, and William Kinney, all of them only 9 years old, while the other lives lost were Cynthia Peak, Catherine Kuntz, and Mike Hill. Now, as the dust settles, law enforcement searches for a motive. The shooter was a former student at Covenant School, and police revealed that when searching the shooter's house, they found several weapons as well as maps of the school and a manifesto detailing her heinous act, as well as plans for a second shooting that would never come to pass. The images out of Tennessee are ones that evoke the memories of other tragic shootings, from Columbine to Sandy Hook, although no image speaks greater volumes than this image, which shows a young, unidentified student in tears as she's driven off to a reunification center where she was hopefully reunited with loved ones. The shooting in Tennessee is now the 129th mass shooting this year and the 38th mass shooting in March alone. Here's what officials have said so far.
We have to do more to stop gun violence. It's ripping our communities apart, ripping the soul of this nation, ripping at the very soul of the nation.
This is uniquely American, and the people of this country have to ask themselves a basic question. Had enough? Had enough of sending your children and grandchildren to school and wondering if they're going to be victims of assault rifles? I mean, this is madness.
Because you guys made it easy for people who don't deserve to have weapons, who are mentally incapable of having weapons of war, being able to buy those weapons and go into schools. I voted for SROs in my schools in Florida after Parkland. We have SROs on every school. Did the good guys with the guns stop 6 people from getting murdered? No. But you know what? AR-15s, you know seen what those bullets do to children? You know why you don't hunt with an AR-15 with a deer? Because there's nothing left.
However, the most important voice came from this woman, Ashby Beasley, a mother who, along with her son, were vacationing in Tennessee. The two were also survivors themselves, survivors of the July 4th Highland Park shooting from this past year. Beasley took the mic during live news coverage with this statement.
These shootings and these mass shootings will continue to happen until our lawmakers step up and pass gun safety legislation.
For SUTV News, I'm Adam Beam.